So I'm going to show you how to set up a quiz in D2L. So I'm going to turn off me because you don't need to see me to learn how to do this. So when you go to your D2L course, you're going to go to Course Tools, and then you're going to select Quizzes. And when you go to Quizzes, you can start a new quiz. And it's fairly straightforward in how you do this. You're going to give it a name. And if you're using the Grades tool in D2L, then you can give it a category and give it a unit, and that way it'll mark it and put it right into the to the grades area. But otherwise, you can just leave that category blank. And then you're going to add questions. And when you do this, there's a couple of ways that you can add questions. So you can import from a question library or upload a file, but it has to be a special kind of file for it to upload, and it needs to be in a CSV file. So most of us don't have our quizzes loaded like that. So what I recommend is you just do it this way. It takes a little bit of time, but once you have the quiz in here and you can create a quiz bank of questions, you never have to kind of redo this step again. So, and you can cut and paste from your Word document. So you don't have to necessarily type. If you've got a quiz already set up, it's just a matter of transferring the information over. So the most common kinds of, there's all kinds of different questions that you can ask. True and false, of course, multiple choice, which is what we'll do today. Multiple select, so this is if you're doing some sort of survey or there is more than one right answer, although I think that's challenging for students. But if you're doing a survey style quiz, multiple select would be good. A written response question, so this is like a I would say this is your short answer question where the students get to write their written response. Don't use short answer questions. It's looking for one right answer, and if students don't type it properly, have a spelling error in it, it's not going to come up with the right answer. Multiple short answer, again, similar to the short answer. Fill in the blank questions. I have used these before. Again, students need to make sure that they're typing the questions, the answers right. So the fill in the blank works if you give them a word bank and just remind them that they need to be very cautious on how they type in the words. Also, make sure that you're not using fill in the blanks that are 2 words because often the system won't mark it correctly. Make it 2 blanks or only make it 1 word that they have to fill in. Matching question, this one works really well if you've got a bunch of definitions and then terms you want to match. And then ordering question, putting things in the correct order. So if you've got steps that they need to put in order, you can do that as well. And then I haven't used these arithmetic questions at the bottom because I don't teach math, but you can play with that as well. So let's look at the multiple choice question, and there's a few things that you can do when you set up the multiple choice question. So let's say, the question is, what is 2 plus 2? And then you're going to put your answers in. So 4, 8, 5, 8, and 2. And so obviously the right answer is number 4, and then you can click down here and randomize the answers for each student. That way the answers come up in random order. When you do this, it's really important that if you have one of the answers is all the above are correct, then you need to change that to all answers are correct if you're going to do the randomized answers for each student. Otherwise, all of the above won't necessarily be at the bottom. You can give the weighting. In most cases, your weighting would be 1 mark, but if you have a more challenging question, you want it weighted more heavily, you could change that as well. And so when you do this, it can save, and then you can actually, the best way to do it actually is to create another question, and I'll show you how to do this. So the question is, what is the weather today? So we can say cold, snowy, windy, and then this is where you say all answers are correct. If this is the right answer, you're going to make this randomized for the students. And then at the bottom, instead of save, say save and new, and then it allows you to add another question right away. Okay, you can add a picture here. So if you want to add a picture, you can upload a picture here, or you can even copy a picture. So if you want a picture of snow, and you want to copy that picture, copy image, and then put that in. And it will put the picture here. What is in this picture? Right, love, snowmen, snow people, trees. Again, all answers are correct. And so you can do charts, you can do images, you can do text boxes, whatever you want to put in here is really easy to add. You can even add videos and that type of thing as well. So you can add a YouTube video. So if you want them to watch a YouTube little clip and then ask what they thought about that clip, you can definitely do that as well. So really cool things you can do for quizzes. Randomize answers and then save. Once you have your quiz done, you can then reorder your quizzes, so you can select order and you can put one quiz, you want this question to be first, so you're going to move it up and that type of thing. So you can reorder once you get it done, and you want some easier questions first and some harder questions later, or you want it to go in order of how you covered it in the class. Whatever you want, you can change the order of things really easily. So once that is done and we've got our quiz set up, we now have our we can go sorry, I can't see the there we go, done editing questions. And so the other thing that I like to do is I actually like to turn on the shuffle questions at the quiz level, and I don't allow students to move backwards through pages. I can tell it how many questions I want per page, but it doesn't, I've never used that tool. And then you can, if you want to put hints in, you can. I disable the right click so that they can't copy questions or do anything like that, and I disable the pagers and alerts. It just ensures that prevention of cheating. So once that's done, I'm going to save it, and then I can go to the restrictions area, and if I'm ready to make this quiz active, I can make it active. And I can show an availability date. So if I know it's going to be a quiz they're going to write next Friday, I can make the date, and my class starts at 1 o'clock. And so now this quiz isn't going to appear for students into their area until they can actually write this quiz. I can also display this date in the calendar so that students can see it on their home page of their D2L. And I can give it a password to ensure that students can't access the quiz prior to when I'm ready for them to write it. I give them a password to ensure that there's no ability to access it beforehand without the password. And then I save and close. So that's what I do. The other thing, so I can now edit that quiz. So this quiz is going to show up under future quizzes, and I can edit it. And assessment, this is where I tell it to have a grade area. So allow attempt to be graded immediately upon completion. So this way the students get the result immediately after they're done writing. And I can add it to a grade area if I want it to show up in grades. And I can edit the display setting if it's already in the grade area. And I can also change the number of attempts that the student has. So we'll talk about that later, and what I want the top score to be, if I want it to be the first one or later. You don't need to do anything for objectives. There's nothing there. But under submission views, this is important because this allows you to change what the students see when they're done the quiz. So right away when they're done, if there's students that still need to write the quiz, they're going to select no, that they can't, you're going to set no. That way students can't see how they've done until after. They get their score, but they can't see what questions they got right or wrong. But what you can do is after they're done writing the quiz and everybody's done writing it, you can show them all questions with user responses and show the question score and out of and show the question answers. And this provides a really rich tool for students to be able to see where they've made their mistakes. And so I'm going to save that now that I've had all of my students write that test, and I can change that at any time. I don't have to do anything with report setup. So now my quiz is done.